Hi everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. This is going to be another carburetor video. So Steve and I have emailed, my God, we probably have a dozen or more emails between us. He's been working on a Super Whiz 80 and a Super Whiz 66. Both carbs leak. So Leon, here are the two carbs. The 80 has the modified needle in it and the old arm. And we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute. The 66 has the needle and arm as it came out of the package. I included the old arm for the 66 and the new arm for the 80 if needed. So that's what's in this little container right here. Notice one is forked and one is not. That may become important as we get into here. Also, I did not take the bottom nylon plate off of either carbs as they were not leaking. I put the gaskets in for them if they are needed. If not, please send back any parts you do not need. I did flush them out very good with carb cleaner though, and blew compressed air through everything, also enclosing a return mail label I printed out. Thank you, Steve. That does help me keep track of everything. Thanks so much for your help. I'm just at the end of the rope with these carbs, had them off half a dozen times. I know that feeling. Just last night, I haven't posted the video yet, but hopefully you guys will see it in the list at the same time you're watching this one. My old 530N, I finally got that thing running. And boy did I fight the carburetor, and fight, and fight. So, anyway. That's fine. Just wear shoes and a long shirt.
Okay.
Kids are going stir crazy. I don't blame them. But they will start online school tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Alright. One gaseous carburetor. This one is from the 66. Whoop. And this is a HL-117C. Alright, very common carburetor. Reeds look good. They stick out just a little tiny bit, not much. You can flip these things. I may do that on this, we'll just see. But the first thing I want to do is put the pressure gauge on. That's like my go-to. And let's see if she's holding pressure. Okay. I think you guys can see that gauge. Whoa, she was holding good, and then she popped all of a sudden. Ah. So I'm going to say on this one, pretty consistent. I'm going to guess it has a weak spring. We may stretch it a couple links, but just for grins, let's see if we have any of our common leaks. God, that's amazing that that fuel turret isn't leaking. Nope. That is a weak spring. Okay. Well, let me go blow the soapy water off. So those whiz style saws have the carb mounted pretty, or excuse me, the fuel tank mounted pretty high and the carb mounted pretty low. And that is going to generate a little more pressure just by nature than some of these other setups that we work on, like the Super XL, where it actually has to draw fuel. This is a gravity feed. You got your tank up here, and then the line coming down. So I like to get these to try and hold pressure. I mean, I like to test them to, I like to pump them to 15, and if I can get them to hold around 10 with just a very reasonable minor bleed down, then I'm happy. This one you couldn't get past 6, and it would start to bleed. And naturally, once it opens, it's going to bleed a little low before it stops. So okay. Now this carb was designed to use that style needle, I think, and if not, let me get this straight. The old arm for the 66 and the new arm for the 80. Okay, so they both had that old style. So you see how the inlet arm has a notch in it and the needle indexes into it. The original ones were just flat and the needle bumped up on the bottom. This is a more positive action, so the diaphragm actually moves it as opposed to waiting for gravity to drop it. This is generally considered a more reliable way of handling it. Now we need to get this carb off the base, because in order to get that arm out, you got to have this block off so you can access that screw. These are a tight fit back here. You can barely get a wrench in there. You got to pull it out part way and keep spinning. Alright, and now you just unscrew from the back here. See, the good part is Steve's already been in here, so none of this stuff's all stuck together. Now notice I'm holding my thumb over this. I'm holding everything down in place. And I'm going to pull that out and carefully let up. Okay. Yep, that all looks beautiful. So again, I'm going to say this spring is weak, because it holds at a certain pressure. So I'm going to stretch it a little bit. And again, I've shown you this before. There we go. Now that's going to add a fair amount of tension to it. I actually got about, 3 coils out of it. I know my buddy TJ has worked on a ton of these HL carbs as well, and he's found the same thing, that you pretty much have got to stretch these at least 1 coil, generally 2 or 3, in order to get them to hold pressure the way we want them to. The reality is, if your saw has good compression, it's going to be able to pull this down, even stretching them like that a little bit. Okay, so hold it in place, slip your axle in, and screw it back down. Now the bad part about these HLs, you can't pressure test them until you put the whole bloody mess back together. And that kind of sucks. With a modern carburetor, an HS, a SDC, one of those, you can just assemble your fuel pump side, and then you can test your inlet needle like this without having to put everything together. But We'll make do. Come on, dipstick. Alright. Some of my older videos, and it was primarily when I was working on some of those big Macs for Kent, and then Claire had a couple of big Macs too. This fuel metering body here, the chunk of aluminum that's sandwiched in the middle, can and does warp in some cases. So there have been times where I've had massive leaks around there when I go to pressurize it, and the only way that I've been able to seal them up is to actually wet sand it. Get some 200 grit wet sandpaper, and then get a flat surface like this bench, lay it down, wet it down, and just circular sand it. And you can see where the problem is the minute you start sanding, because everything starts to get a shiny tinge to it, except for where you haven't sanded, and pretty soon you realize, oh crap, that's pretty significant. But the good news is whatever percentage it's warped, or measurement, it hasn't been so bad that I have found one I can't fix. So that's good. Alright. In theory, I'm going to get past 9. Okay. Now that's interesting. That time it's stuck completely. It's definitely that stinking needle. Okay. Well, that's mildly frustrating. But that's why we didn't put everything back together. So even though that was a new seat, we're going to do a little polishing on it. A fella down, I want to say he's in Texas, but I'm probably getting that wrong. Fellow that follows the channel, David, sent me a link to a video. I am not going to take credit for this. This was completely somebody else's good idea. And again, I don't have any product information in front of me. You guys that are into this stuff a lot will know what they are. But they're a type of cleaning swab. They're not a Q-tip. They've got a real stiff body, stiffer consistency than a Q-tip, and they're pointed. And this guy on his YouTube video was mixing up a cleaner that was a mix of aluminum polish and a cleaner, a kind of a scouring type cleaner. I went, well, hell, Mother's aluminum polish will work just as well, and it does. I've used it. Oh, you know what? I'd have to. That's a rubber. That rubber tip needle? Yeah. I actually see some green way down there in the seat, which means there's a little corrosion, which would explain quite nicely. So these are those cleaning swabs I was talking about. What I do is I'm going to cut it in half and chuck it up in the drill. Get my mother's aluminum polish out. We're going to polish that seat and make it look real nice. Okay, this is a relatively new thing. David sent me 10 of these, and I've got an order in for a whole pack. Because they're just way too handy. Okay, we're just going to polish that. And we'll see what color this thing comes out. Okay, now that's what I'm looking at. It's possible that the rubber on this is green down there. I've never seen a needle seat that is, but let's just take a look. Come on. I'll be damned, it is. Okay. But that's okay. As slow as I was going, polishing the rubber isn't going to hurt a thing. Alright, that is nice and clean. So, now, what we're going to do, we'll just use the other half of that, and we'll clean this out with some mix. You wouldn't think you'd have to clean a new part like this. And you shouldn't have to be quite frank. But who knows how old this new part is. I mean, when it was made and how long it's been sitting on a shelf somewhere. Okay. Copper sealing washer looks great. Alright, let's go take 2 on this. If it doesn't work this time, I'm going to cry foul. If it doesn't work this time, we're going to go back to an old style arm. I don't know why it should make a difference. A lot of these HLs use this fork design. On some of these carbs, they are just very resistant to the conversion, even though Homelight talked about it in their literature when Tillotson made those changes. As long as you use the right seat and arm, you were supposed to use them interchange, be able to put them in the older carbs. Okay, that's good. Positive action. You can see that the arm is pushing down on the needle itself right there. So, no, you get beat it. You don't need to be a ham. You go play. Yeah, stay away from the road. Okay. Oh, I wish you hadn't done that, dipstick. Okay. I'm going to hope for a better result. I find it absolutely amazing that the fuel turret isn't leaking. That's one of the most common things that I have found. I actually have found a Buna and rubber replacement for the cork gasket that goes in here. Most of the cork that's supplied in today's kits is too thin, and it will not seal positively. So you either have to coat the cork in something like Moto Seal, which I've used, and that works as well. But like I say, this Buna N gasket, I bought it with the intention of using it as a replacement for one of the corks on a fuel cap, the older style fuel caps, and it works great for that too. But just for grins, I went ahead and stuffed one in here, and it's a little bit of a tight fit, but all of a sudden it pops in and you get a very positive seal. Ain't nothing gonna leak around that. Alright folks, let's hope for the best. Oh. Alright. We're at 11. Slow bleed off. We can tap the carb, which I guess I shouldn't have done. That's interesting. But that's what I wanted to know. Okay, we'll start fresh. These things work a lot better when there's a little fuel against them to swell that seed up. It's leaking down. More than it should. Come on, you. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So far, we've gained nothing. See how much I have to edit this video for length. I can always fast forward some of this crap where you've seen me unscrew it 3 times already. I had a feeling these weren't going to be a slam dunk. Steve knows what he's doing. There has to be an answer. this doesn't work. What I did there is I bent the tab just a smidge, lowered the arm just a tiny bit. I think it's going to put more pressure on the needle. If not, we're going to get that new arm out of there. This is ridiculous. And we do need consistency. And that's why I tapped that carburetor the way I did. It was holding good, and I'm like, well, is it a one-shot wonder? The needle's just stuck down in the seat a little bit, and the minute it comes off of it, it's going to leak again. It would have been real easy to say, hey, Steve, good to go. And then he bolts it back up and says, really? What are you smoking? Alright. Pretty slow. That leak down I would accept on one of my carbs. Then when you turn her upright, too much. I'm really starting to wonder if there isn't something wrong with that seat that I can't see, like where the rubber is molded to the brass itself. I do know one thing, I'm tired of taking this carb apart. Sure Steve was. Okay. Do I happen to have anything here in the garage? Okay. Worst comes to worst, I do have something. I don't want to cut that needle. That's one trick you can use, is to cut that tang off the top, and then you can use it with the old arm. That's the way the 88 one is going to be set up when we tear into that one finally.
Whoops. over the roof. I actually did that.
Really?
And then it went over in our yard.
Okay. I'm going to put the old arm back in, and I'm going to use a new needle out of my package. And that old one was probably adjusted right, but we'll see what. Whoops. Shoot. Dang it. So we get this installed. If it still leaks like this, I'm going to pull that seat out completely and try something new. That would be a hell of a note if a new old stock Tillotson part was the problem all along. Okay, I mean, needle's moving freely.
Daddy, I found it. It made it.
Okay. Well, it's a windy day, so watch where you're shooting those. You never know. It was supposed to be springtime here. Not like we're having snow or anything, but it's definitely not warm, and you don't see a whole lot of sunshine in the sky. Alright. Take 73. And there she goes. Granted, I went higher on pressure than I needed to. And now it won't seal at all. Boy, this is just getting ridiculous. Rebuilding a carburetor shouldn't be this difficult. Kind of reshape that arm just a little bit so that it presses a little more on the needle so that this arm is sitting flat. I'll about you guys, but I'm about tired of this. We'll find a combination that works, but be damned if I want to spend all day doing it. Come on, baby. Do what you're supposed to do. Wow. Well, this is just irritating beyond all belief.
The dart that was in the road when I was trying to get Katie because she's in the window and I have to try to shoot her, but it won't hurt her because it's in the window. So then he just went flying in the other road side of the road. It was by your truck though.
Okay.
So I went and go picked it up.
All right. My level of patience is decreasing rapidly with this thing. Because when logic doesn't work like logic's supposed to, it annoys me greatly. Okay. Sure do have to wonder about that thing. See, from here I can't see anything wrong with it. Alright, but because we've already opened this pack, it's definitely the right seat. And this one's got a more common to me black seat.
He's gonna play with me now.
Okay.
He just has to get dressed.
Okay, well, I'm working on the video, babe.
You are?
Yeah.
They did it once.
No, they've heard you 15 times.
Hey, guys!
Beat it. Yeah, not that she's a ham. Alright. I don't even know what to try now. We'll go back to the new style and the new arm with the seat out of my package here, and we'll see what happens. In theory, this forked style arm should be better. There's a reason everybody uses it. keeps flipping upside down. I didn't foresee it taking a freaking hour to do one of these carbs.
Katie?
Okay. It's natural for it to bleed down some. Very few of these carbs will actually hold it. Okay. It's looking a lot better. Still not exactly what I was hoping for, but the gaskets aren't leaking. That's all around the seat there. But that's slow. Most fuel tanks aren't going to pressurize quite this hard. Let's see what it does when it hits 6. Now it's fine. Wow, that's irritating. There must be. I'm going to try cleaning that seat some more, somehow, some way. Because the seat out of my pack is definitely holding a hell of a lot better. Okay, well, we've wasted a lot of time on this. Try one more. Yeah. Okay, well, there's one. Ridiculous. Alright. I'm going to put those back in this package. And I'm going to remember that this one needs some help. And the way that I'm going to remember is that green rubber. I'm not going to go too far with it, because who knows what the next one's going to bring. Alright. That's not going to come apart. That gasket will tear. If you end up with too much spit back, Steve, these reeds they're right there. They're okay, but if you end up seeing spit back, having an issue with it, you can pop this apart and then flip the reed, just end up, well, or can you? Oh, scratch that, you can't. These are the ones that have those offset screw holes, so never mind. They tell you top, thankfully. Because you guys probably saw me hesitate and go, wait a minute, which way is what? Except I got the carb upside down. So we'll go like that. Much better. Alright, well, that was interesting. I hope to God it doesn't take quite so much on that 80. As you can see, starting these nuts back on here is interesting. Throttle arms in the way completely. Alright, come on. The way this one's performing right now on the pressure test, I'd bolt it on one of my saws, no problem. Okay, let's go to number 2. Okay, I'll leave that out. Bag it. Yeah, this one may have newer reeds on it. See how they're sitting down a lot tighter to that cone. Alright, pressure test.
Pick up my bag. You know why I was falling? Because he was wrong.
Same thing, initially when you crank it low, doesn't look so bad. But then it starts to release. Okay. I'll do my due diligence here. Oh, now this one is leaking a little bit. See the bubbles coming up right there? That's not the vast majority of it. Okay. Blast the soapy water off. Alright. This will almost be like one of those, can you assemble this gun in the dark with your eyes closed? Can you assemble the Tillotson HL-117C without looking? We might be able to when this is all done. Okay. Yep, just like we talked about. Looks good. You can see this. Steve clipped the top off and used the old arm, which is honestly what I prefer to do. Damn it, it's another one of those green seats. I wonder. Copper washer doesn't normally come out that easily. Doesn't look like there should be anything wrong with that. It does, the rubber moves, it's pliable enough. It's not super soft, but it's not rock hard. Yeah, I don't get this, folks. I don't get this at all. There's no debris in there. No reason for that not to seal. Alright, so this one, we're going to attempt to reuse that seat since it wasn't leaking as bad. Let's see if we can get by with just stretching the spring. Okay, that'll add a lot of extra resistance. We'll give this a try. I'm not overly confident, but come on. The socket just barely fits down in that well. Come on. Let's hope that this one goes better.
Oh, the door.
Okay. See if we can get away with a whole lot less than what we had to do on that other one. That would be nice. It's not unheard of to have to do some cleanup or repair work to parts that are brand new out of the box. You know, some of the Ohmlight's automatic oil pumps that were coated in Cosmoline. You got to take them all the way apart and clean all that crap out because it seized the plunger in the aluminum housing and on the brass end bushing. Once you get it apart and clean all that trash out, lube it up a little bit, it is brand new. You know, it's a part that has no wear on it, but if you just try and install it out of the box like that, you're probably not going to have good luck. But you shouldn't have to clean a frickin' needle seat and fight with it like this. A lot of parts, you know, at some point ended up getting pulled off the shelf, thrown in a box, thrown in an attic, you know, outbuilding or something like that, and then guys like me, we buy them up, and we don't always know the history of them. And if they've been treated like that for, say, 20 years in a garage that, you know, is all closed up and in the summer hits 130 degrees, that's going to deteriorate rubber parts. So, alright, folks. We're going to get lucky. We're going to get up to 12. Wow. How annoying. Unbelievable. Unbelievable and completely unacceptable. I guess we know what's going to happen next. Cleaning the office this morning. You know, you get stuff, you set it aside and think, oh, I'm going to do this, and this doesn't happen. So I was cleaning all that up and I found these two kits. Laying in the mess. Who would have thought that I'd need them right away today? Alright, black seat. Rubber definitely seems a little more resilient. Okay. Let's see. Stop it, socket. Okay. needle that came with it. Now, quit yelling through the garage, please.
I shoot a seagull.
That's great. Quit shooting birds.
It's scary.
And they've got their Nerf soft point dart guns. And they're acting like heathens, which is fine. They're outside. If they were in the house, then I'd have a problem. Oh, shoot. Don't do that. Okay. If I was a gambler, and I'm not, I'd gamble that this is ready to rock and roll now. It's the first time, I know I've harped on it a couple times already, but it's the first time I've seen that color of rubber. And I'm starting to have a negative opinion. If this works, if this holds pressure after this, then I definitely have decided what I think of it. And it sucks when you get a new part that doesn't work right, because you start diagnosing other stuff because you just put a new part in and it shouldn't be the issue. Wow. This could be one of those rare ones that holds forever. Ah, there it goes. Now that's a good one. That little bit of bleed off doesn't amount to a hill of shit. Okay. Try one more time. That's beautiful. Okay. Well, Steve, I am sorry that you ended up with some defective parts, man. So, green seat. Both would not hold pressure for sour owl maneuver. Let's say I'm going to save those pieces. So I don't know what I can do to them. Probably nothing. They'll probably end up going in the garbage can. But I don't know. I think I'll try soaking those in brake oil. You know, brake oil will actually, in some cases, the old Super 2 diaphragms, the automatic oil pump diaphragms, it'll bring that back sometimes when one of those has gone completely crusty. So I'm going to soak those in some good old .3 or .4, whatever the heck I have sitting over there left over from 15 years ago. Actually, it shouldn't be that old. I forgot. I did a 100,000 mile service, or excuse me, 150,000 mile service on my diesel. And that actually was one of the things I did do. I bled the old brake fluid out. I know nobody does that, but it's a lot cheaper and easier to bleed that stuff out than it it is to have the caliper go bad. And it's going to happen someday. But if it happens at, say, 300,000 miles instead of 200,000 miles, then all of a sudden that hour it took me to bleed those and flush it out was well worth it. Oh, anyway, I'll dig out some brake oil and let those soak, and then I will try them in one of my carbs the next time I have to rebuild one. And I'd sure like to know why this nut is being so persnickety. Come on, Jimmy. I'm not in the mood for this. Let's see, I don't have a clue. I have to assume that we've gone a good solid hour on this damn video, if not longer. God, you son of a bitch. There it goes, finally. But I hate to think of how many hours Steve spent pulling these things on and off again. Good Lord. I hope this isn't a sign of the way the rest of my day is going to go. Alright, I just bounced the hell out of it, rattled it all over the place. We'll try one more time, and I'll get these bagged up, boxed up, and sent out. Come on. Beautiful. Okay, well, Steve, they're ready to rock and roll. Sorry it took so long.